As Canada's second most popular province, Quebec was growing greatly. Quebec was its own nation, controlling its own density, and didn't rely on the federal government for its needs. Quebec started calling for greater autonomy, even complete independence. This led to the October Crisis Report, which was the name given to a series of kidnapping, robberies, bombing, and terrorism attacks. The two conflicting parties during this time was the Quebec separatist group called the Front de Libération de Québec, also known as the FLQ, and the federal government controlled under Lester Pearson. He responded to the rising tension by establishing a royal commission to investigate the state of bilingualism and biculturalism in Canada, which then led to the revolutionary group, the FLQ, who wanted complete independence for Quebec and used violence as means to achieve its political ends in the early 1960s. In 1963, underground FLQ activists started to place bombs and mailboxes in federal armories and in Westmount, which is a wealthy Anglophone area of Montreal. There was a total of 200 of these crimes. Their end objective was complete destruction of the influence and symbols of English colonialism. Sergeant Major Walter Leja from the Canadian Armed Forces was seriously wounded when he tried to defuse one of these bombs. The FLQ started to use larger and more powerful bombs, setting them off at the federal government bookstore at McGill University. 27 people were injured. Besides the violence, some Quebecers supported the FLQ because they believed in its vision for an independent Quebec. I personally am a separatist that supports the things parties are saying about the independence of Quebec, but I am against the actions of the FLQ. But desperate times call for desperate measures, is what I keep telling myself. On October 5th, 1970, two armed men kidnapped British Trade Commissioner James Cross. Notes were received from the FLQ listing demands for his release. They had a maximum of 48 hours to comply. They demanded the release of the FLQ prisoners, $500,000 worth in gold bars, the reading of the FLQ manifesto on TV, and lastly, the transportation for the kidnappers and their families to Cuba or Algeria. Later on, they refused the demands set by the FLQ. Few days later, while negotiations were still on, word spread fast that Pierre Laporte is kidnapped from his house by the FLQ. At this point, the federal government begins to take the crisis seriously. On October 12th, Prime Minister Trudeau sent the army into Quebec to protect individuals, and 4 days later he involved the War Measures Act, which gave police extraordinary powers to arrest and detain citizens. This was a move intended to strengthen the government's position and reassure the population. Within 2 hours, 250 people were arrested. Many citizens thought it was police abuse and was too much. Aside from this, the line "Just watch me" said by Pierre Trudeau is now used everywhere. The expression originated at an interview on October 13 when another news reporter besides me asked how far the government or himself would go to restrict civil rights. Prime Minister Trudeau invokes the War Measures Act. This was the first time a War Measures Act has been used in peacetime. Everything aside now, is there any young people watching? I would like the parents of that child to not hear the following part, as it might be a little gruesome for people. The following day, Pierre Laporte's body was found in the trunk of a car parked. Laporte has been murdered by the FLQ and his body was stuffed in the back of a car. Following his death, the kidnappers are set free in exchange of James Cross. This concludes the end of the October Crisis Report. I feel that Quebecers didn't receive what they officially wanted, but got a huge worldwide news story from it. I think those men were just pure evil and had no intentions in exchanging the hostage for their demands. Thank you for tuning in with me. My name is Aysar, Dhiyaa, and catch us next time on Quebec News Station.